Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the series finale of Secret Invasion. It was called Home. And as a start, we find that Fury's wife is on the move and she gets a call from Fury, but it wasn't much of a conversation, except that when she asked him if he knows whether or not he'll be coming back, he doesn't answer. He changes the subject. He then seemingly sends his car by remote control up to the gate at Gravik's compound to distract the guards, and then shoots them from the woods. Meanwhile, Rhodey is pushing hard for the president to attack the Russians, specifically Gravik's compound, while one of the president's admirals urges caution. As Fury continues walking towards the bowels of Gravik's compound, he seems to be feeling the effects of radiation and keeps taking iodine pills. Rhodey then gets a call from Sonya saying that Fury is on the way to see the president in the hospital and that he should move in. And of course, it's not true, but I'm thinking that it must be Sonya that Fury called at the end of last week's episode. Fury finally makes it to Gravik, who mocks him for suffering from the effects of radiation. Back at the hospital, as the president is moved, a couple of his men get taken out. Gravik reminds Fury that his face is the face of the first human that he killed on Fury's orders, as well as that the man, who he says may have been a little misguided, had a wife and family. He also says that every time he killed someone for Fury, it took a little piece of his heart. And then he blames Talos for the fact that the SKRULLS wandered aimlessly, in his words, for 30 years because Talos was weak. He says that Fury threw them away and didn't honor his word to help them, and that he's the reason that Gravik's been doing all the things he's been doing, and the reason that he's going to destroy humanity. Fury tells him that he knew within a couple of years of searching that he wasn't going to be able to find somewhere for them to live. And then he thought maybe he could find them a home on Earth until he realized that humanity would never accept them. It was at about that time that the blip happened, and that Fury, in fact, felt relief just before he went, because it meant that he wouldn't have to fight anymore. Back at the hospital, the president's men keep getting taken out as they're trying to get the president to a different area of the hospital. We go back to Fury and we see that he tells Gravik that he's going to give him what he wants, the harvest, because he realizes that he failed them, and that he wants the SKRULLS to go kill some other people on some other planet. And then he indeed gives it to him. Gravik activates the harvest in his system and steps into the chamber where he left Fury in quite some distress. Simultaneously, Sony gets the drop on Rhodey at the hospital. Gravik absorbs the effects of the Avenger DNA and attacks Fury, but Fury isn't Fury. He's Gaia. And she punches Gravik and sends him flying through the ceiling. Then she starts fighting him, explaining that he failed his mission after killing each of her parents. And as they fight, they both exhibit the different powers of the DNA that they absorbed, including Carol Danvers' DNA. It looked like Groot and a couple of other Marvel heroes. At this point, the real Fury shows up at the hospital and starts explaining to the president what's really going on, and that he has to call off the strike or it'll kill all the world leaders that the SKRULLS are keeping there. Simultaneously, the nukes get closer to launching. Gaia and Gravik take their fight to the air as they both seem to take on the powers of Captain Marvel, as I said, but then she uses Mantis's antennae on his head to make him sleep and fall to the ground, but it doesn't seem to work because he wakes up again once he hits the ground. So she gets him by the throat and he tells her that she's just like her father and the other SKRULLS, and then she puts a Captain Marvel blast through his chest, killing him. Rhodey tries to get away from being held at gunpoint by Sonya, but he fails, and Fury puts a bullet through his purple-blooded head, at which point the president asks for a phone to call off the strike. Gaia goes into the basement of the SKRULL compound and releases the human prisoners, including the real Rhodey and Agent Ross. The president then gives an address from the hospital in which he states that the government is going to kill all aliens because they're enemy combatants. Fury returns home to ask his wife for one last chance, and he tells her that he's leaving, but that she knows where she can find him. Sonya approaches Gaia on the street and tells her that she wants her to be the new leader of her people and that they can work together with all their cards on the table to protect both the SKRULL and humanity from each other, so that Earth will be safe for both of them. Fury urges the president to call off his war on the SKRULLS, which has resulted in vigilantes killing not only SKRULLS, but people that they suspect of being SKRULLS who weren't, but the president declines. Gaia and Sonya visit a facility where a bunch of people are being held in a slightly different way than the world leaders were being held. Apparently, these are all the other people that all the SKRULLS have been impersonating. Fury's about to go up to Saber, but he's approached by his wife, and he tells her that he's learned that the Kree are open to peace talks with the Skrulls and urges her to be the point person for the diplomacy team, at which point she says she'll help him get started, but that she's going to come back to Earth to continue her important work. And then she transforms into her true self to say that she will now go by her birth name and that she loves Fury as she is, at which point he seems to tell her she can stay that way, and they smooch before both getting into a transport headed up to Saber. And that's where the episode and the series ended. So I like this episode. I didn't see it coming, the whole switch with Fury being Gaia. So I was happy to see that. That caught me by surprise. And I was happy that Gaia was, on Fury's side and was willing to fight Gravik because, I was never sure where her loyalties lied because she was so disillusioned with everything. But it was good to see her on the good side. It was good to see her kick some ass. I thought that was awesome. I thought the fight scene was really, really awesome. I would have wanted more of it actually, but it was really cool. I liked how they kept cutting back and forth between the fight scene and Fury trying to talk, sense to the president, and how they kept going back and forth between what Fury was up to during the episode and what was happening at the hospital. I thought that, ping ponging back and forth between those things was cool. It builds the tension. I was glad to see that the real Rhodey and Agent Ross are still alive and that they got out of captivity. And I'm hoping that we get to see more of Sonya and Gaia in the MCU going forward. That would be very cool. So, I liked where everything ended with Gravik defeated and things looking up, except for the fact that the president is now at war with the Skrull. But at the same time, Sonya and Gaia seem to have a plan. So I thought it ended well. As for the series on the whole, now that it's over, I enjoyed it overall. I liked it overall, but it definitely wasn't hugely thrilling or at any point fantastic. It was at best good. The best part about it was the performances. I really liked Olivia Colman's Sonya. I liked Mia Clarke's Gaia. Even the guy that played Gravik did a good job. And in this episode, I have to say I really felt for him during the scene where he was explaining to Fury, why he's so pissed off. I think, you could tell that the character was really distraught over how his life had turned out and how his people's lives had turned out up to that point. So I thought that he did a great job conveying that emotion. So, and Samuel L. Jackson, of course, is always great. The guy that plays Talos is fantastic. So, I the performances were a real highlight. That said, I think it was about 4 hours and 45 minutes long. The entirety of it, of the 6 episodes, and I think they could have punched it up, as they say, and made the whole show a little more, let's say, energetic by taking out some of the scenes of some of the episodes that I don't think really added so much to it that it was worth dragging it out, for 6 episodes and 4 hours and 45 minutes. I mean, this, I think, could have been, I don't know, maybe 3.5 hours. They could have done 2 special episodes that were an hour and 45 minutes apiece, let's say, and not have had it drag and feel as drawn out as it felt. But other than that, like I say, I liked it. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was good. And I'm glad they told this story. I'm glad for, having been introduced to Gaia and Sonya. I think that was all great stuff, those characters. So I'm looking forward to the next entry in the MCU and seeing where the characters from this fit into what's coming next. And I, of course, will be here to review all that stuff. For now, I'm going to get out of here. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.